So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Province of West Lancashire Provincial Office webinar. I hope you're all safe and well. I'd like to offer a special welcome to those joining from other provinces and those watching on YouTube Live. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. My name is Andrew Rydell, and I'm the Provincial Deputy Grand Secretary. So, to today's session. Welcome to the first of two sessions that will focus on men's health. In this first session, we'll be talking about prostate cancer. The Graham Fulford Trust is the organisation that provides the PSA testing at provincial meetings. Graham was hoping to be here himself, but unfortunately he has had a family emergency. I am, however, delighted to welcome Susan Hart. Susan Hart is a trustee of the charity and has been involved with the development of the provincial testing programme. Susan, good afternoon. Welcome to West Lancashire. I will hand straight over to you.
Okay, well, firstly, thank you, Andrew, for inviting us to join in this afternoon for you. I am going to cover everything about the charity, a little bit of background to how the charity has got to where it is today. And I'm going to give you a very short presentation all about prostate cancer and how we can actually test men and how the charity is actually moving forward and undertaking a major research project which started on the 8th of January this year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and then I'm going to start my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any of them at the end. So please write them down and I'll address them when we finish. So I'm just going to share my screen. So very kindly, Andrew asked us to give us a bit of background of what we actually do at the Graham Fulford Charitable Trust. The charity was actually set up by Graham and Sue Fulford back in 2005, basically due to a family member of Sue's, in fact her brother, being diagnosed with prostate cancer, and also a very good family friend of, or best friend of Graham's. It was too late, unfortunately. Both of them unfortunately passed away, and Graham and Sue were moved to set up the charity. They very shortly came across someone called Professor David Baxter Smith, who's now a retired urologist, but he's been working alongside the charity now since 2005, and he overviews all the clinical information that comes back from the laboratory for us, and he's been doing that since day one. In 2017, it got to the stage where there was so much paper floating around in the office. It was very much like Mr. McCorber's office, really. And there were just piles and piles of consent forms. So it took 2.5 years of two people inputting all the previous history, all the PSA tests results into an automated database. But that was also beginning to creak at the beginning of 2019. We had over 100,000 men on the system and about, at that point, about 130,000 tests. Many men coming back for a test every year. So I was asked to join the charity in 2019, and Graham gave me basically a remit just to look at the charity and say, how can we change? How can we improve it? How can we offer a better service? And I came up with the idea of a cloud-based online booking and retrieval system. Now, at that point, we were doing events, public events, and also closed events, private events around the UK, and also starting to go into very large corporate companies. Mainly the transport area, because we found that from the research that we had previously done, that a lot of people who sit driving lorries, cars, trains, have a bigger propensity to actually form prostate cancer. And we've also found that people are getting younger and younger who are being diagnosed. So on the 1st of January 2020, we moved over to the online booking and retrieval system, and every man has his own account. So he sets up his account, he makes his appointment either at an event or to do a home testing kit. And if events, we collect the blood, we take the blood on the day, we send it off to the laboratory. And within 4 hours of the laboratory getting the blood, we actually are informed on the system their results. It's improved the speediness of what we do. We then get sent, and it's called an Azure blob, and we get sent an Azure blob every 15 minutes from the laboratory, and then the clinicians actually overview the results, and then they give us permission to actually send the results out to the individual guys. Well, the actual result doesn't go. We send an email or a text message, and we say your result is now available online in your account. It's totally secure, and we use a company called Empressa to actually develop the software, and we've been working with them now for nearly 18 months. So we moved on to that in January, and it was going great guns until lockdown happened. And we ran our last event on the 9th of March last year, and we had 567 men turn up. They'd all previously booked online using the system, and within 2.5 hours, every single man had his blood taken, and at the end of the event, it was sent off to London. However, the event they thought would last 3 hours only lasted 2.5, and every man was out of the testing venue within 7 minutes. So it runs very efficiently for public events and also for private events. So lockdown happened, and we thought, what are we going to do? How are we going to help these men? How are we going to get them a test? Because a lot of men need surveillance testing as well. And due to lockdown, doctors were not testing, or they were making it very difficult for men to get their surveillance testing done. So we introduced home testing kits. We trialed them in June, and 120 men volunteered and took blood from their finger and sent the kits back in the post. And it was so successful that we launched officially on the 2nd of July. And since then, we've done about 9,000 home testing kits up to the end of the year, and it's getting more and more popular. So, prostate cancer. Just over 49,000 prostate diagnoses are happening in England, and this is a figure from 2018. However, it's increasing every year, but these are the latest figures I could actually find for you. 12,000 people die, unfortunately, with prostate cancer every year, and 4 out of those 10 cancers are found too late, because a lot of people do not have symptoms. If it is caught early, there's a 75% survival rate, and 1 in 10 white Europeans will have it. 1 in 4 Afro-Caribbeans will have it. And if you have a family history, it increases the potential to contract prostate cancer. We are actually doing a research project, which I'll talk about a bit later on, but we're actually looking at hormones when people were losing hair, and the history of ovarian cancer, breast cancer, and prostate cancer in the family, whether it be immediate family or secondary family members. Well, prostate cancer is now beating breast cancer. It's the most common diagnosed cancer in men, and it's to do with abnormal growth cells. So a PSA test is what we do when we test blood, and it's looking at the protein in the blood sample. Now, the bigger the prostate, the more protein there is in your blood, and that is how we actually get a score. So when results are provided to everybody who has a test, the higher the score is, the more likelihood that someone may have prostate cancer. But it doesn't always indicate that that person has, because there might be something else untoward happening, and that is found out with the higher score. So it could be something like prostatitis or just a pure infection. as one gets older, things get bigger. And when the prostate gets bigger, that's when cancer can develop. As I mentioned before, it could indicate presence of cancer, but not all red results are cancerous. They'll just indicate that something might be going on that needs a doctor's attention, and from that, the symptoms and the treatment, it hopefully will improve someone's quality of life. Well, what are the symptoms? Basically, going to the Lurlot, having a weak or interrupted urine flow, or having to need to strain to empty one's bladder. Blood in the urine, and urging to go to the toilet very frequently through the night, could be 3, 4, 5 times. Advanced prostate cancer is when you get a pain in your lower back and there is a weight loss happening. Those are the symptoms. So, prostate screening, it's not provided by the NHS, and anybody's entitled in the UK to go to his GP to ask for a PSA test. However, a lot of GPs try and put you off, and the first question will be have you got any symptoms? And most people say, no, I haven't. And also, men don't want to be tested. We're finding that men are reluctant to do the test, but it's just a simple test. And they don't shout like us when we wanted our breast screening put in place for the UK. And what we're trying to do is now get a prostate screening put in place for the UK for all men. Well, no, the NHS doesn't currently recommend screening. The PSA levels are not a firm indicator. Only 1 in 5 abnormal results will basically show aggressive cancer. But what we say is, if you get tested, you'll know more. You'll know one way or the other. An aggressive cancer can be present, but you could get a normal result. So that's why our clinicians are actually looking at also the free to total scores that actually are tested with people who have over 50% of the score range within an age group. So, for example, if you're 40 to 50 and you had a score over 1, the laboratory will also do a free to total test. And the lower the free to total score is the indication of whether there could be an issue. So what happens when people do and have found that they've got a problem or issue? Some people are offered biopsies without even further PSA tests. Others are offered MRI scans, and they are extremely expensive, and the biopsies are very invasive. There is a new MRI scan that's been done at Imperial College London, and that's called a prostagram. And a prostagram is a mini MRI scan, and it doesn't cost £1,000, it costs about £300. And this is the latest form of non-invasive screening. And we are trying at the moment to organise people participating in this research. And we might have some interesting news in about a month's time. But we're trying to get everybody with a red letter to be seen in London, if they wish to go to London, to have this MRI prostagram. It's something that we're working on, and we hopefully will be able to announce it shortly. So, because men are so reluctant, the campaign started with Movember, and as in the month of November, that's Men's Month. But we've noticed a huge increase in testing when Stephen Fry and Bill Turnbull actually came out and said they had had prostate cancer and they were sufferers. In that year, our normal testing of 30,000 tests went up to 55,000 tests. Huge increase. And that's one of the reasons I actually joined the charity. We are testing all men over the age of 40, but we have recently started testing under 40 occasionally when there is a history of cancers in the family, or whether the father or the grandfather has had prostate cancer. We're doing events all around the country with yourselves and also Lions clubs, Rotary clubs, and we hold, well, without COVID, we actually hold events in Warwick on a monthly basis, and that's GFCT. And also any prostate cancer groups around the country, and also businesses. We actually are doing a lot of work with police forces as well, and the Federation of Police, and we're now starting to test the men in blue. Our consultant urologists are either working urologists or they are retired urologists. And very shortly you'll be having a talk by Chris Booth, who is a retired urologist, and he is one of our clinical overviewers. So every result that comes from the laboratory, Chris actually overviews. And the results that can come out, we use a traffic light system. And the traffic light system is green, amber, amber alert, and red. Now, the green is no problem. The amber is you really need to do, keep an eye on it and have more tests. An amber alert, and we're the only people that can do this in the UK at the moment. If someone has had a previous test with us, or several tests, and they come back and all of a sudden they've had a huge velocity growth in their PSA test, it's called an amber alert. It isn't a red and it's not an amber, it could be still a green, but they've had a huge vertical increase in the percentage of the PSA result. And that's when they would have an amber alert letter, and we'd say, keep an eye on this. You need to do probably a test every 6 months. A red result is please go along and see your doctor and get retested. And also we will very shortly be having a concierge service where the gentlemen that receive red letters and also amber letters will be able to contact a helpline, and we will be able to, they will be able to get medical advice. So as I mentioned before, in 2013, that's when we went automated, and we were able to provide support for other organisations around the country. So they use us just for facilitating the results. They organise their own events using our new system. The clinicians overlook their results too, and then we send out the results on behalf of those organisations. We now have over 110,000 men on the system. We have the second largest database of prostate cancer testing in the UK. The first one is Public Health England, and we are the fourth in Europe. We have approximately 150,000 test results. I think it's getting to 153 or thereabouts at the moment. In 2019, we did 32,000 tests, and thanks to our home testing kits, we did 16,000 tests last year. When we stopped, we'd done 3,000 via public events, and the remainder were home testing kits. Well, in 2020, everything was migrated. So if you've had a previous test with us, your test will be on the online system. And the way that we migrate the records is if you have a test with us now and you've had a previous test, we will check against your date of birth, your name, and your email address. So those are the three ways we can identify you as an individual. So if you go on the system and you use the same information, all your previous results will be there. All events in future, we will not have any drop-ins at all. And hopefully we'll be able to get back to event running August, September this year, but that depends on the new variants coming into the country. The turnaround is 4 hours, and it can be as quick as a day if the clinicians actually look at the results fairly quickly, but the most it ever is 24 hours to 48 hours, and an email gets sent to the person and he can access his results online. Because of the increased demand, we went online because this was going to be easier for the charity to actually develop and grow. Prior to this, up to the end of 2019, we were inputting everybody's detail into the old database, and we were working, some events were 1,400 big, and it would take us at least 3 weeks just inputting the gentleman's information. And mistakes do happen, you know, typing errors, we couldn't read the writing. So it's a lot easier now to actually say, you know where you live, so please put your details in, you know your date of birth, you know your email address, and it's a lot simpler and no mistakes are made. So these are the results I mentioned earlier. Green, you've got probably no problem at all. Amber, you need to do a more regular test and be a little bit more diligent. Amber alert is when the percentage jump rises very quickly over a year period. And the red is we need to resolve the problem as quickly as possible. And if you look at our GFCT website, you will see testimonials up there with gentlemen who've had no symptoms, but they say if it wasn't for a PSA blood test, they wouldn't be alive now. They're worth reading, and we're grateful for them to send in the testimonials. So, what are we doing? I went down to the Houses of Parliament March last year, just before lockdown, and I had a meeting with someone who sat on the health committee, and she asked me what I did, and I told her, and she said, the trouble is you don't have any peer-reviewed research. So I came back and I said to Graham, we've got to do some research. So we put a questionnaire together, and it was approved by all the clinicians and also the epidemiologists at Manchester University. And we launched it on the 8th of January 2021. It's a 2-year project. We originally wanted it to be a 5-year project, but as yet we haven't got the funds for 5 years. So the immediate is a 2-year project. We need everybody's help. We're actually looking for 50,000 men to participate. So if you know anybody who has had prostate cancer, or just been diagnosed with prostate cancer, or friends who have had a prostatectomy and they're not involved with the Masons, but anybody who has had symptoms, been treated, please can you ask them to do our research questionnaire. It takes between 10 and 15 minutes. If they register on the website, you can walk away from the questionnaire and go back to it whenever you wish. If you just go onto the website and do the questionnaire, it will not save it for you. So if you do want to move away and go back to it, it's better if you do register on the website. The link is www.mypsatests.org.uk/research. And what we're aiming for at the end of the 2 years is to the epidemiologists to write a peer-reviewed paper. And the peer review is the most important bit, because in this questionnaire, if someone's had prostate cancer and they have been to a urologist or hospital, we are asking permission to actually write to their GP or urologist to actually confirm the information that they have provided to us. This will then allow us to call it a peer-reviewed paper. Once we have the peer-reviewed paper, we will then try to get it published in a leading British medical journal. And then, once that's done, we will then present to the National Screening Committee, and Chris Booth, who you will be hearing from very shortly, he will be part of that group of people putting the findings forward. It's really important, you know, the NHS, or the National Screening Committee, are dead against putting a screening in place for gentlemen. And we're hoping with the change of CEO, chairman at the National Screening Committee that they might change their minds in a couple of years when the research has been finalised. But that started, and it's quite interesting, the results that we're getting. So you've obviously been told by Andrew and other brethren that they have organised home testing kits for yourselves. So it's really easy to book a test. Follow the instructions that have been sent out to you, but the most important thing to remember is when you register your account, you will be sent an email immediately. It may go in your junk box, hopefully it won't, but if you open this email and click on the registration button, verification button in the email, don't just click on the email and do nothing, actually open the email and click on the green button. That means that your account has been verified, which means then you can go back on to the website and click on your logo under the Our Charities header, and then you will be able to order your test via the province charity branding, which is important for them to know how many people that they actually are helping in your province. If anybody should have any problems, they can contact us on our number at head office. We're all working remotely from home, and the phone number is on divert. If we are on the phone, it will instantly revert to an answer machine. So please leave a message and we will ring you back as soon as possible. Alternatively, you can email us at info@psatests.org.uk and we will respond as well. But one of us will help you. Wendy, you might know, she is our chief phlebotomist and she's got very involved helping people. And also John Young, who is also our research manager, he's there to help on a day-to-day basis as well. So a little bit about GFCT. We just want to support gentlemen in the community. We want to get as many men tested as possible. And if someone's got a score, it doesn't matter what the score is, we're there to support as well. So this is what GSC is all about. We actually want to encourage men to get tested because we're saving lives. Well, first of all, thank you for listening to me. I hope I haven't bored you. We do have a YouTube channel. You can find us under GFCT My PSA Test. There is an overview on there that Graham has done, and unfortunately Graham couldn't make it today, but he actually, it's 13 minutes long and he'll explain all about the charity. And that is the link if you want to copy the link into YouTube, and that will actually get you to the 4 videos that we've done. And this Wednesday, tomorrow, we are making another video, which is all about the research that we are doing and trying to encourage men to actually go online and complete it for us. So that's me. I hope you found that interesting. And if you'd like to ask me any questions, I would be happy to answer any of them.
Thank you very much, Susan. Just before we kind of go into the questions, I'd just like to bring in the provincial Grand Master Tony Harrison, who's just got a couple of points on this and the province's response to it. So I'll hand over to you, Tony.
Thank you, Andrew. Well, Susan, thank you very much indeed for such an enlightening talk. It's very good to know exactly what the Fulford Trust are undertaking on behalf of those gentlemen that have been able to have a test with you. We, the Freemasons of West Lancashire, have over a number of years now had the opportunity of having PSA tests done at our provincial meetings, and you very kindly come along and I'm not sure yourself, but the nurses have come along and taken our samples, and we've been very well looked after under the direction of the Fulford Trust. I'd just like to say that sadly we've not had our provincial meetings, and consequently none of our brethren have had the opportunity of being tested over the last 18 months to 2 years. So I would just reassure everyone that as soon as we are able to have our provincial meetings again, both at Blackpool and at Southport, the province will be offering PSA tests through the Fulford Trust for any brother or companion that comes along to the provincial meetings. So I hope there will be many brethren from West Lancashire will avail themselves of this facility which is offered. And may I thank you, Susan, on behalf of the Fulford Trust for the work that you've undertaken to look after and ensure that the reports that have come back to the brethren here in West Lancashire have been very, very well received. And sadly, we've had some red returns, but the brethren have had the opportunity to get treatment, and I'm sure that it has saved many a life of the Freemasons. So thank you for all that you're doing, and brethren, please pass on that message to the brethren of your lodges and the companions of your chapters, that we will be offering the tests again as soon as we can have our provincial meetings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. Just got a couple of questions, but before I go on to those, in the chat, I've put a couple of links. One is to the Graham Fulford Trust website, and a link to the research page as well. I've also put the Just Giving link in the chat as well. So if anybody feels so inclined as to make a donation, then please do. It would be very much appreciated. Susan, I've just got there's just a couple of questions here. One of them's a little bit procedural. Somebody's undertaken a home test. They can see the result on the website, but they've had previous tests done through the trust. Should they be able to see those test results?
Yes, they should.
Okay, so if they can't, should they just contact the office?
They need to contact the office, and we'll sort it out. It could be that they, instead of using their first name Anthony, they could have put Tony, or it could be just simply they've changed their email address, or it could be both. So yes, we can match people and put them together.
Wonderful. The next question is just about people without necessarily the IT skills to access the testing. Can they request them by post? Is there a function for that?
No, they need to ring the office, and we will do it for them. Okay,
so we'll pop the telephone number. We'll circulate that as well with the information that we send out, and people can phone in and book those.
They can also, if they want to, they would like us to ring them, they can send us an email to the general email address, and Wendy or John will contact them and phone them at a convenient time. So
Okay.
either or.
The question about the technicalities of the home blood test kits. People worried about having to kind of slice their arm open, in inverted commas, to conduct the home testing kit. How do they actually work?
Right, okay. So it comes in a small package about, I use inches, I'm sorry, I don't use centimetres. So about 5 inches by about 4 inches. It comes in a plastic container, which is firm, it's hard, and you snap it open. In there is a very, very small vial. It's about that deep. And you need to fill it up to about there with blood. It's a very, very tiny vial. You get 3 lancets, which you twist, or someone's just come up. Paul Renton's is easy. I've done the home testing kit and it's easy. Well done, Paul. So what you do is you twist the lancets. There's 3 lancets in the package. And the best way of doing it is if you are right-handed, put your lancet in the right hand, and then I'm going to show you here. Put your thumb between your 2 fingers. And as you squeeze, you'll see the end of the finger or the thumb will get red. So that is blood moving into into the thumb. And then you can pump it. So as long as you keep it below your heart, the blood will pump quite easily down through your thumb. If you have a partner, wife, girlfriend in the house, and you're a bit squeamish, get them to do it, and they'll have great fun sticking the lancet into your finger or thumb. So what you basically do is fill this up and put the lid on securely, and then there's a label in the packet which they'll ask you to write very clearly your name on it. And you then, after you fill the vial up, don't do it beforehand, put the label on it, put it back into the container, and there is a tracked first-class envelope, and ensure that the blood form that comes with your kit is actually put in the package back. Because without that blood form, they cannot process your blood.
Yeah, cheers.
Okay.
Great. So it's nice and easy. The lancet, it just gives you the end of your thumb just a little prick, and that's it. It's not. We're not talking about lancets as in kind of 3 foot long needles or anything like that. It's literally a little clicky thing that you.
Yeah, it's about that long, and it's blue, and you twist it, and at the end it comes out as a little metal spike, and you just stick that into your thumb.
So diabetics have been doing this for decades now. Just man up and get on with it, basically.
But basically,
yeah,
I've actually done it to see what it's like, and if I can do it, and I don't like blood, but if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Sure. Phil Gunning.
Yeah, brethren, as most of you know, I'm a prostate cancer survivor. 3 years ago, I tested positive. And the big message I put over when I responded to those 3 is that this is no drill. This will get you. This will kill you. Get yourself tested in any way, shape, or form you can. This is not a rehearsal. This will get you. This will kill you. You owe it to yourselves. You owe it to your family. You owe it to everyone dear to you. It's a strong message that we've got to get across. Freemasonry has pumped millions into research for cancer. We owe it to everybody. We owe it to ourselves to get ourselves tested. And I think the charities like this and the people like this do a wonderful job right across the country, right around the country. And it's a powerful message that they're getting across. And there's no stigma to it anymore. There's not that I've got cancer. None of that. You'll get very well looked after. You'll get very well treated. And more importantly, It will give you quality of life. I had no symptoms, none whatsoever, no symptoms at all. And it was by chance I had a blood test. And I had a negative MRI scan. I had 2 negative biopsies until finally I had a targeted biopsy. And that proved that I got cancer. And if anybody wants to ring me up and discuss it privately, I've often said it. I'll be here for a phone call. I'm talking to a brother at the moment who's got it. I talked to a brother last year who got it, and he used the same surgeon as I did to remove it. But as I said, the strong message is that this is not a drill. This is not a rehearsal. It's not a practice. Get yourself tested and save your life.
Thank you for that, Phil. I wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you,
I'm
Phil.
negative. It's gone. And I've been now clear. I'm all clear now for the last 2 years.
Good. I'm really pleased for you.
Yeah.
Good.
Sorry, interrupted.
Sorry. You come back in? No? Okay. There are several people that I know of who've been tested at provincial meetings and have come back with had a red letter gone, and it's the brethren who have been tested at provincial meetings, or who have spoken to somebody who has been tested at provincial meetings and has had the letter back. These are your fellow Freemasons. These are the people that you go and hang out with at lodge meetings. It's not something. It's not a concept kind of once removed that you may see on the news that doesn't feel quite real. It's actually your friends and colleagues and your neighbours that are affected by this and indeed other cancers. And just as kind of from a personal point of view, if you have any symptoms at all, get tested because it's simply not worth waiting for it, because the longer you put it off, the worse it's going to be. As with most things, cancer is one of those things. If you get it early, if you recognize it early and deal with it early, it's much less of a problem. It's a bit like painting the shed, really. If you leave it a long time and all the wood crumbles and everything like that, and you need to replace your shed, if you keep it well preserved every year and you're checking for it, then it's absolutely fine. And you can deal with smaller things much easier than you can deal with bigger ones. Sorry about that. Right. Questions come in. Got an annual PSA test through their GP. Should they use the tests that are available through the trust, or would that be they put a waste of their resources for the trust, or what's the frequency of testing that's recommended? Let's put it that way.
Right, frequency of testing. If someone has a green result and it's under 1, they should be tested the international guidelines say every 3 years. If it is over 1, it should be either 2 or 3 years. So the closer it gets to the top score, is the more frequently you should be doing it. And we're basically saying under 1 is low risk, from 1 to 1.5 is intermediate risk, and that should be every 2 years, and over 2 would be risky. So depending on the score and the age, that will vary, but it's usually under 1 every 3 years. The Europeans say every 5 years, but they're changing their tune on the latest research, but they will drop down to 1 a test every 3 years if it's under 1.
Okay. In terms of age group, what are the kind of age guidelines for it?
From 40 up to whenever. Some charities say they won't test over the age of 70. We do. And the reason we do is because Alan Doherty, our senior clinician, basically says if someone has symptoms but hasn't got prostate cancer, they would maybe have prostatitis or an infection, and he said he can improve quality of life. Not so it's testing, a PSA test, okay, tests for cancer, but also it tests for the health of your prostate. So anywhere from 40 upwards. But we had a gentleman, he had been tested with us 5 years running. He'd always had a green. And on the 6th year, he tested a high red. Went to see somebody and unfortunately had prostate cancer. His son, his father had, so the grandfather, father, and then he rang us up. He said, my son's 32. I'd really like him to be tested. I know he's not in the age group, but can you do it? And because of the family history, we said, yes, we would. And unfortunately, that young man of 32 has prostate cancer. But we've caught it early. And we're noticing, because we're doing an awful lot of the police force, we're noticing the average age is coming downwards. So,
yeah, well, you did say that kind of people that sit down a lot are kind of more susceptible
yeah.
to. Sorry, no, that's I'll get lynched for that saying that. So there's been a couple of recommendations. Chris Taylor has put on about the BBC radio series Prostrate, deliberately misspelled. That's available on BBC iPlayer for it if people want to do it. It's with Stephen Tompkinson and Gary Wilmot, so presumably it's a little bit lighthearted, a little bit more lighthearted, and would be recommended. And yeah, a comment from Frank Cook about what Bob Monkhouse has said previously as well. So there really is one of the things that I thought it would be good to have a couple of sessions on men's health was because men are terrible at kind of getting things sorted out in general, and my dad's terrible, I'm terrible about it, and just kind of and I thought it would be a really good way of just kind of bringing these people to the fore. I mean, lockdown has been difficult for everybody in terms of, be it in terms of inactivity or wanting to, not wanting to do much. But kind of as we come out of lockdown, it's a really good opportunity to kind of reset and just kind of get yourself sorted into trying to be as a bit more healthy. We haven't had all the festive balls to deal with, which is a good thing, certainly from my point of view. So I would recommend this. I mean, so do you have any kind of final comments?
The only thing I would say is if anybody has a red letter and they go along to their GP and the GP basically says, did you have any symptoms? And you may say no. And he'll say, well, go away, you're wasting my time. That is the normal comment from the GP. The best thing I could advise is for you to say, no, I want you to do another PSA test for me, and insist. They can't refuse you. They will put all barriers in your path, but say that you insist that you have a further test. And also with the red letters, we will very shortly be starting a concierge service. So we'll be able to help people as well.
I put the link to the website in the chat again, and also the Just Giving link as well. We will be sending out the information regarding the home testing kits and how they can be ordered from the website in due course. But Susan, thank you for being here today. Thank you for. I know you've been a little bit dropped into it, but thank you for coming along nevertheless. And please do pass on our regards to Graham, and I hope that everything's okay. But thank you for coming, and I'm sure that we'll be speaking very soon. So thank you for being here today.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. And if you need anything from any of us, all you have to do is ring the number and we'll help you.
Thank you.